Drug dog myth number 4, drug dogs alert to drugs, not handlers. I'm also attorney James Worth. We're doing a series of videos related to myths about drug dogs, and this one deals with what they're actually alerting to. So they are trained to smell narcotics and alert to narcotics, but are they alerting to narcotics or are they alerting to their handlers? This video is regarding cueing and whether the relationship between the handler and the dog can affect how it alerts and when it alerts. So when we're looking at getting drug dogs, when people are getting drug dogs, there's a number of factors that they look at. One, obviously you want a dog that has a very acute sense of smell. There are certain breeds that are better for that than others, and that's why they use those breeds. But also it is about the dog's individual personality and its playfulness. How much does the dog like to play? Because in doing these drug dog sniff test searches, that is a game to the dog that the dog likes to play, and having dogs that like to play make them better drug dogs. But this is a game that is not played alone. It is a game that is played with the handler and the interaction of the handler. And when the dog alerts, the dog gets a reward. In the field, it's every time the dog alerts, no matter accuracy or anything, because they don't actually check the accuracy or anything. If there's an alert in the field, it is considered to be a correct alert whether narcotics are found or not, and the dog gets gets a reward whether narcotics are found or not. So it incentivizes the dog to alert. So what is the dog alerting to then? Is the dog alerting to specific smells, or is the dog alerting to what the officer believes, whether there are narcotics in the vehicle and where in the vehicle the officer believes? So this was actually looked at in a study. Now, most of the time, different drug dog handlers, police agencies, they do not want their dogs tested. They do their testing when they are certified, and then they have them out in the field. They don't want third parties coming in and testing their accuracy. And like I said, if they have a search where it alerts and nothing is found, they consider that still to be a good alert. There just must have been a trace amount of drugs, nothing that we could find, but the dog could smell. They would say there's no such thing as a false positive. But there was a study done on this. They did get some of these units in order to participate. And there's a study on that. It's called Handler Beliefs Affect Scent Detection Dog Outcome by Lisa Witt, Julie Schwitzer, and Anita Oberbauer. And that's from, looks like December 13th of 2010. And this is an interesting study where they told the handlers of the dogs, they told them falsely that 2 conditions contained paper marking scent location. And then they also had 2 conditions where they had decoy scents. Basically, they had food like a sausage or a tennis ball. So they had a space that noted a piece of paper so that the handlers would believe that that is potentially something. And then they had actual sense that was a sausage or a tennis ball to see if the dogs would alert. So the purpose of the test was to see, 1, the accuracy of the dogs, but 2, did they have a tendency to alert more where the officer thought there would be a scent, or to where the dog smelled something that is not narcotics, but is something that it would want, such as food or a play toy. So they did 225 runs of this, and the secret to this is that there were no actual narcotics throughout the entire thing. So the human handlers were led to believe that this paper marking was something they were supposed to potentially alert on, but in actuality, there was nothing to alert on through the whole thing. Out of 225 runs, the dogs alerted 85% of the time. So 85% of the time, even though it should be 0% of the time. But the interesting part that they wanted to look at is, where did the dog alert most? Did it alert where the officer thought that there would be narcotics? Did it the control where there was nothing, or in these spots where the dog would smell something the dog would like to smell? And the number 1 place where the dogs would alert is where the officers thought there was a smell. So the officer bias affected the dog's alerts more than the dog's bias towards getting the tennis ball or the sausage. And 85% of the time they alerted when there was nothing there. So that begs the question, are dogs alerting based on what they smell, or are they alerting based on cues, either given intentionally or unintentionally by their handlers that they are playing this game with and intently focused on in order to win this game, in order to get that toy they play with as their reward? So that is the question that we have, or the issue that we have on this myth. If you are dealing with a case where you're being prosecuted based on alert from a drug dog, that is something that should probably be attacked. Is it proper that they're giving probable cause in your case? Are there grounds to get evidence suppressed based on a violation of your rights? You're going to want to talk to an attorney privately and confidentially about that. To get that scheduled with somebody at my office, you go online to makelawEasy.com.